Lesson 2. A New Home in America. I will know how people's lives change when they move to a new country. Vocabulary: immigrant, frontier, homestead, gold rush, exclusion. List the items you would pack in your bag if you were moving to a new home. People move to a new place for many reasons. Some need to find work. Some want religious freedom or a safe place to live. Some hope to earn more money. Some move to be closer to their family. The promise of America. People who move from one country to settle in a different country are called immigrants. Immigrants started coming to North America hundreds of years ago to start new lives. Some of the first immigrants were people from Spain, France, and England. In the 1600s and 1700s, they crossed the Atlantic Ocean to come to North America. They settled in the southeast, the northeast, and even as far north as Canada. In 1783, the United States won its freedom from Great Britain. At that time, the nation was made up of 13 states, and all of the states were located in the east. The West was a huge open land with many rivers and mountains. The soil was rich for farming, and gold could be found in the streams and rocks. While people were looking for gold, they also found other minerals, such as silver. People found many ways to earn money in the West. In the mid-1800s, thousands of immigrants from Europe and Asia came to the United States. Most settled in cities along the east and west coasts, where there were many jobs and places to live. Other immigrants bought or rented land to farm. Since the first Europeans arrived in North America, immigrants have had high hopes for their new home. They brought the skills and energy needed to make the country even greater. One immigrant, John Roebling, came from Germany to the United States in 1831. He built many bridges. One of his best-known bridges is the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City. Most European immigrants sailed across the Atlantic Ocean and into New York Harbor. One of the first things they saw there was the Statue of Liberty. Even today, it welcomes immigrants. 1. Americans move west. As more immigrants came and cities became crowded, many people looked for more land in the American frontier. A frontier is a region that forms the edge of a settled area. People crossed steep mountains and wide rivers. The search for more land was dangerous. An explorer named Daniel Boone helped make this search easier. The Cumberland Gap Trail had been used by American Indians for many years. It ran through the Cumberland Mountains. The map below shows the Cumberland Gap Trail today. In 1775, Boone worked with 28 men to widen the Cumberland Gap Trail and add new paths. This new road was called the Wilderness Road. Wagons could now travel through the mountains. As a result, thousands of settlers and explorers traveled west, beyond the Appalachian Mountains. In 1805, Zebulon Pike explored the Mississippi River. Davy Crockett began exploring present-day Tennessee in 1813. The Homestead Act. The number of settlers moving west grew after 1862. In that year, the United States government passed the Homestead Act. A homestead is an area of land that includes a house and its buildings. The Homestead Act made it possible for many Americans to get 160 acres of land for very little money. The act helped people settle the land in the West. It also helped the country add new states. To be a homesteader, a person had to agree to build a house and live on the land for 5 years. After that, the person would own the land. Thousands of families traveled west to find a new home. By the 1900s, there were 600,000 homesteaders in the West. Many homesteaders were immigrants. Others had been slaves in the South. By moving west, people could start new lives. They could farm and feed their families. They could start new communities and enjoy their religious freedom. Life for the homesteaders in the West was difficult, though. They built homes using any materials they could find. They carried water in buckets. They grew all of their food. Neighbors were far from each other, so it was difficult to get help. Many people returned home because life on the frontier was so harsh. 3. Immigrants from Asia. In 1848, gold was discovered in California. During the gold rush, thousands of people came from around the world to search for gold. Some of these people formed communities to meet their need for financial well-being. Many immigrants came from China during the gold rush. At first, Americans welcomed them. However, some Americans thought that Chinese immigrants were taking too many jobs. In 1882, the United States government passed the Chinese Exclusion Act. Exclusion means keeping people out of a place. This act stopped immigration from China for 10 years. In the 1880s, Japan started allowing workers to move to the United States. Many Japanese immigrants lived in California and in Hawaii, which was not yet a state. Most worked on farms or fished. Some owned small businesses,